I never imagined kindness could grow in a place where hope barely survived. But that's exactly what happened the day I got stranded on a deserted island with my boss, a woman I thought barely knew my name. She was strict, sharp, always in control, the kind of boss who kept her emotions tucked away like locked files in a cabinet, and I was just another employee in her big company, polite, dependable, invisible. But on that island, with nothing between us except waves, silence, and fear, I learned who she really was, and I learned who I really was too. Because sometimes, the place you think will break you is the exact place where you discover the kindness that saves you. Before we begin this emotional journey, make sure you subscribe to the Soulful Stories. Like the video, drop a comment, and share your thoughts. Your support helps us bring more heartfelt stories that remind us of the power of kindness. Main story approx. 1,300 words. My name is Ethan. I worked in the marketing department of a big firm in Seattle. My boss, Claire, was respected by everyone but close to no one. She was the kind of person who walked fast, talked fast, and expected the same speed from everyone around her. So when she asked me to join her on a short business trip to a coastal conference, I said yes, even though it made me nervous. Traveling with your boss is never relaxing. It feels like every step you take is being evaluated. The flight was smooth, but the boat ride after wasn't. We were supposed to take a small company boat from the mainland to a resort island where the conference was being held. Blue waters, clear sky, everything looked peaceful. But within an hour, the weather changed like it had a personal grudge against us. Strong winds slammed the boat, waves rose like mountains, and the captain shouted that we needed to turn back. We never made it back. A massive wave hit us, and the next thing I remember was darkness, cold water, and Claire screaming my name. When I opened my eyes, sand clung to my clothes, and the sun stung my face. We had washed ashore on some deserted stretch of land. No buildings, no people, no help, just us. Claire sat beside me, soaked and trembling. For the first time since I knew her, she didn't look like a boss. She looked like a human being, scared, exhausted, holding herself together by a thread. "You're awake," she whispered, relief crashing into her voice. Thank God. That was the first crack in her armor. We spent the first few hours trying to salvage anything from the broken boat pieces washed up on shore. A few containers, a half-wet backpack, and a flare that no longer worked. When the reality hit, that no one knew where we were, that we were truly stranded, Claire sat on the sand, buried her face in her hands and cried, not loudly, just softly, as if she wasn't sure she was allowed to feel fear. I sat down beside her. "We'll figure it out," I said quietly. She looked at me with eyes that held both gratitude and disbelief. "Why are you being so calm? I've been hard on you for years. Kindness doesn't keep score," I said without thinking. That was the moment everything changed. Days passed, then a week, then another. We built a makeshift shelter with branches and debris. We found a natural stream of fresh water inland. We used driftwood to start fires. We rationed whatever snacks we'd found in the backpack. Claire tried to help with everything, even when she didn't know how. She apologized constantly, like working beside me made her remember every time she had rushed me, corrected me, or overlooked my efforts. "You don't have to keep saying sorry," I told her one night as the fire danced between us. She stared into the flames. "I know, but I never realized how cold I've been. Not just with you, with everyone." She swallowed. "I guess being stranded forces you to see the parts of yourself you usually ignore." On that island, without her office walls to hide behind, Claire wasn't my boss anymore. She was just Claire. A woman who laughed awkwardly when she tried to help build the shelter. Someone who hummed quietly while gathering firewood. Someone who thanked me every time I caught fish or started a fire. And someone who, at night, confessed things she'd probably never told anyone. "My dad raised me to be strong," she said one evening. "He believed softness was weakness. Kindness made you vulnerable." I used to think he was right. But now, Out here, kindness is the only reason I'm still functioning. I smiled. Kindness doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. One afternoon, while I was checking the fishing line near the rocks, I slipped. My ankle twisted, and pain shot through me like fire. I shouted, and Claire came running. The fear in her eyes looked like she'd break apart if I disappeared. She helped me stand, supported my weight, and helped me hobble back to the shade. "Ethan, don't scare me like that," she whispered, her voice shaky. "I can't lose you out here." The words lingered in the air, heavier than the heat around us. From that day on, she took care of me, brought me water, cooked what little food we had, even washed the cuts on my leg. Watching her kneel beside me, treating me with gentleness I'd never seen before, I felt something shift in my chest. Kindness changes people, and Claire was changing right in front of me. One night, after a storm had shaken our shelter and left us cold and weary, Claire sat beside me, closer than usual. The firelight flickered across her tired but softened face. "Ethan," she said quietly, "if no one comes, will you stay with me?" I froze. Not because of the words, but because of the vulnerability behind them. This wasn't a question from a boss. This was a question from a human being desperate not to be alone. "I'm not going anywhere," I said. "We'll get through this, both of us." Her eyes glistened, not with fear this time, but something warmer. She reached for my hand, hesitated, then held it, lightly, like touching hope for the first time. We sat like that for a long time, letting the gentle crackle of the fire fill the silence. Rescue came on the 19th day. A passing cargo ship spotted our smoky fire signal. When the small rescue boat reached the shore, Claire clung to my arm as if she wasn't ready to return to the real world. On the ride back, she leaned her head on my shoulder. After 19 days of surviving together, fighting fear together, sharing kindness in ways neither of us expected, it felt natural. Back in Seattle, everything felt different. People rushed, phones buzzed, deadlines loomed, but Claire didn't slip back into her old self. She greeted employees with warmth. She listened. She smiled. She even shared pieces of our story with the office, calling it the experience that taught her what really matters. And the thing that surprised everyone the most? She started stopping by my desk every single morning. "Good morning, Ethan," she'd say with a smile that carried memories of ocean winds and campfire nights. "How are you feeling today?" Kindness had changed her, and kindness had changed me too. One evening, a few months later, she invited me to a quiet cafe. When I arrived, she was already there, hands wrapped around a warm mug, looking more nervous than I'd ever seen her in the office. "I've been thinking about that night on the island," she said softly. "When I asked if you'd stay with me." I nodded slowly. She looked into my eyes, her voice trembling with sincerity. "I didn't mean just until rescue came. I meant, stay with me. In my life." My heart thudded. Not because I didn't expect it, but because it felt right. Like the island had brought two lonely people exactly where they needed to be. I smiled. "I'm still here, aren't I?" Her eyes softened, and she reached across the table to hold my hand, just like she had under the firelight. And right there, in that quiet cafe, surrounded by the noise of the world but grounded by something real, I realized kindness had brought us together in the unlikeliest place imaginable, a deserted island. But maybe we had been stranded in our own lives long before that, and maybe kindness was the rescue we both needed. Kindness doesn't take much. A gentle word, a helping hand, a moment of understanding, and sometimes those small acts can save someone's world, even your own. So be kind. You never know whose life you're touching, or how deeply it might change yours. Thank you for watching this story on the Soulful Stories. Stay kind, stay hopeful, and remember, kindness is a light that never gets lost, even on the darkest islands of our lives.